each one of us can make our lives a little better by being maybe a little more fully present in it, and then adopting habits that are more in line with nature than the way we're living, and then sharing that with other people.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I interview thoughtful, inspiring, and influential guests who are changing the way we think about what is possible in our lives, especially as we age. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, psychotherapist and fellow Zestful Ager, and I love to hear from you, my listeners. Please leave a comment on zestfulaging.com. And our music is courtesy of Judy Banker, who was also a guest on the show, and it is off of her CD, Buffalo Motel, and you can find out more about Judy on judybanker.com. Well, as usual, I've got my loyal Jack Russell Sparky right by my side. He's got his harness on. He's waiting for his walk. But we're going to begin here in a moment. We have a wonderful interview for you today. It's really educational and inspiring. Today, we're speaking with Udo Erasmus, who's a culture changer in the field of wellness. His educational background includes biochemistry, genetics, biology, and nutrition, as well as counseling psychology. Udo found his passion in the early 90s after being poisoned by pesticides, which led him to pioneer the healthy fats and oils industry. And he is a frequent presenter at Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra's events, where he speaks out about oils and peace. Welcome to the show, Udo.
Hi, I actually got started in the early 80s.
Aha!
That's because I got poisoned by pesticides in 1980, and that was my wake-up call. Because
tell me about that. Tell us the story.
Yeah, what happened was I got married. We had 3 kids, and my wife and I split up, and I wanted to kill something, so I took a job as a pesticide sprayer and sprayed them very carelessly for 3 years, and the predictable happened. I got poisoned by the pesticides I was carelessly using. And then I went to the doctor. They don't have anything for pesticide poisoning, so we can throw them in our environment, but we don't have a fix for it. It's the usual, what do they call that, freedom without responsibility. That is fairly widespread in industry. And so I was left to my own devices, and because I had background in biochemistry and genetics, I decided to look up health and nutrition, disease and nutrition in Medline. And there were like 16 million studies listed there. Of those, 600,000 were on fats. And of those, over 30,000 were on essential fatty acids, which are the good fats. And so I got focused on fats out of, the poisoning was my wake-up call. I got focused on fats because it was the area that was most complicated, most misrepresented, and needed the most attention.
And who were you before you were a pesticide applier? What was your life like before then? What were you doing professionally?
I was a gardener. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did gardening. I did a lot of blue collar work. I did logging and mining and farming, mixed farming, dairy farming, fruit farming.
This is in Canada, in the western provinces?
Yeah, in Canada, did a little fishing. And basically, I did that not because I wanted to become one of those workers, but I wanted to know what it was like to be in the shoes of those people doing those jobs. So I've always been a little out of the box in my thinking, because it was not exactly a career move, but it certainly gave me a foundation. And a certain amount of empathy for, the things how people's lives go.
And this was after you had already studied biology and genetics?
This was after university. I had almost a master's degree. I thought my thesis was stupid. And so I decided to quit just before.
You got to the part, you took the classes, you got to the part where you did the thesis and you said, forget it?
Yeah, basically. And then I didn't know what to do. I never got a job in biology, and because there weren't any. And and then I just did all kinds of stuff. I traveled and lived in tents and lived in communes.
And this was in Canada or in Europe?
Yeah, no, mostly in Canada. We left Europe when I was 10. I was born during the Second World War, so I have had that as a memory too. And we left Poland with the communists chasing us in tanks and trucks on roads where there were only refugees, mostly mothers and little children on horse-drawn wagons, and the Allies were using us as target practice from planes. So these were the good guys. And so I became very serious very early, that basically said, when I listened to adults argue, I said, when I was 6 years old, I said, there must be a way that people can live in harmony, and I'm going to find out how. And all my science and bioscience and psychology and medicine and self-knowledge, all the different things that I've looked into, were always in service of how can we improve the quality of life of as many people as possible how can I do that in the lifetime I've got?
So you were very aware that something needed to be fixed.
Yeah, because if you look around and look at how awfully people live, both in their head and in their habits, and in what we're doing to the environment, and how we screw up relationships, and how politicians can't get over themselves and actually administer the affairs of the people. You look at all that and says, no, man, there must be a better way than this.
A lot of dysfunction.
Right.
And so you came to it organically from living out this profound trauma.
Yeah. So each one of us has a role to play in that, because each one of us can make our lives a little better by being maybe a little more fully present in it, and then adopting habits that are more in line with nature than the way we're living, and then sharing that with other people.
When you say more in line with nature,
yeah,
what comes to mind first about the ways that we are mostly out of sync with nature?
Well, I think the first thing is what we were born in light. The energy that is life, the energy that keeps you alive, we're completely out of touch with it. Because our senses take us out into the world, and that's automatic because it's for survival of the body. But going inward to get in touch with our own being and discovering the peace that's there and the love that's there and the unconditional love that life has for the body, that journey inward has to be deliberate.
I see. And do we get there through meditation, mindfulness? Are there other ways?
I would. It requires us sitting still. Like right now, I think Corona is the best meditation teacher the world has ever seen. Sounds crazy, but why? Because we are now forced into social distancing. So that means we're getting out of everybody else's business, and now we have to mind our own business. When you mind your own business, and then literally it's just a small step to sit down, get quiet, see how still you can get, see how deeply still you can get, see how long you can stay there, and discover what is in that stillness. Because everything you've been looking for in the world is actually already within you.
And we don't have the distractions now to take us away from that stillness.
Exactly, because we've always been too busy. And now we can do all those things that we've said we're too busy to do. So this could be, Corona could be the best thing that's happened in the world. All the great teachers spent a lifetime trying to get people to sit still and discover the beauty of their own existence. Buddha and Christ and Krishna and just a whole bunch of them, right? They didn't get it done in a lifetime, and Corona is getting us to the point of being able to do that within a few months. So is that powerful?
That's fascinating. And is using an opportunity.
And is using the least spiritual people on the planet to push us there. How about that?
That's absolutely fascinating. The paradox of that.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? And who'd have thought, right? Who'd have thought? A virus.
That's so interesting.
I was walking my dog, who I always mention in the introduction, and I live in upstate New York, which is almost always gloomy. But a little bit of sun came out, and the bird song is starting up again. And there was something just there about standing still and allowing that to penetrate that moment of absolute beauty and delight.
Yeah,
really makes a difference.
Yeah, the life, the best life we can live is when we're fully present in all of our being. So that's physical and I would call it spiritual, but it's like basically being in touch with our life energy and our awareness, being aware of being aware, fully present in all of our being and our surroundings. That's the perfect life, and not lost in thoughts and funny ideas and beliefs in our head. It's not that complicated, actually.
It's right. It's not that complicated, which makes it difficult because the simplicity can be scary. Having that quiet for people I know, my clients, they don't want to feel what they're feeling or think what they're thinking or realize what's gone on.
Well,
right?
lucky for us, when we go into the connection to life, there are no thoughts there. So in your breath, there are no thoughts. In your kneecap, there are no thoughts. The only place where there are thoughts in the cortex of your brain. And then a few other areas a little deeper in the brain than that. But there are no thoughts in the rest of your body. Why are we only in thoughts all the time? Why aren't we enjoying the ecstasy of what it feels like to be alive when we're actually in touch with ourselves?
Oh, it's so worth repeating, especially now, because I think there are a lot of thoughts and a lot of distractions where people are watching the news and the body counts all day long. And I'm encouraging people to have a bit of a media diet where all you really need is a few minutes, and that you have what you need.
Well, the truth is you don't even need a few minutes of it. But I'm strong enough in my self-presence that I can watch the news and be okay with it, and it not become depressed. But if you don't do the homework that every wise person and every little child and every person close to dying, the wisdom is get present in your own life, recognize the incredible gift you've been given, and enjoy that gift, because nobody can enjoy it for you. And if you don't enjoy it, it's a wasted gift. That's the message. That's been the message of anybody who has had anything really uplifting to say. It's always been the same message. You already got it. Check in, get closer.
It's all there. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Let me just ask you. We'll get to the healthy oils in a few minutes, because I have a lot of questions, and I know my listeners do. But what does your day look like, Udo? You live in Canada. What is a day in the life of Udo look like?
Well, I'm not doing any blue collar works these days, although I do a little gardening sometimes. But basically, I'm 77, so I should be retired. But I love how incredible it is to be alive. I sleep until I wake up. I pretty much get 8 hours of sleep, because I'm not thinking about all the things I haven't done that keep me from being able to sleep. Sometimes that happens to people as they get older, if they haven't pursued.
Right.
Then
the regret.
Then they're anxious, and then they're thinking, and all the shoulda, woulda, couldas, and honestly, maybe deep breathing before you go to sleep is a really good idea, because when you're tired, breathing will allow you to fall asleep. Just breathe. And breathe consciously. Just follow your breathing. Don't push it, don't pull it. Just follow your breathing naturally. And if you're tired, you just fall asleep. So that's pretty good. So I sleep till I wake up. I eat when I'm hungry. I have noticed as I've gotten older that the the less animal products I eat, the better it is, the better I feel. This is not based on a theory about anything, although it is also good for the environment, because growing animal foods is very labor intensive. But I eat mostly whole foods, plant-based, raw. And so it's basically fruits and vegetables, seeds and nuts. I take herbs and spices. I am in love with the world of spices. That's a newer interest for me, because most of the spices that they're like the really well-known strong ones from anywhere around the world, whether you're talking about turmeric from India, or you're talking about black seed from the Middle East, or you're talking about garlic, mustard, cayenne, cinnamon. I'm just going through my cupboard in my mind here.
Probably ginger.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're interested in ginger as well.
Oh, of course, ginger. Yeah, so all of those have antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, anti-cholesterol, anti-diabetes, anti-cardio, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant benefits.
Oh my goodness.
And did I say anti-inflammatory? Yeah.
I think you did. So what does that look like? You tell me about, you get up, it sounds like you're refreshed, you're hungry now. What is it that you fix yourself?
So I really like tahini. So I get a tahini in glass jars, organic tahini. That's my main, if you think you need proteins, that's a good protein source. Because the truth is, all plants have proteins in them. So the idea that you become protein deficient if you don't eat protein, or if you don't eat animal products, is complete BS. And there's enough, the cow can make a steak out of grass. So there's enough protein in grass to make that steak. Elephants are made out of grass. Gorillas are made out of leaves. Right?
Right.
And and 100 million Hindus, 300 million Hindus in the Brahmin caste have been plant eaters for 5,000 years. Never used animal products other than a little bit of clabbered milk for the probiotics in it. But it's like a tablespoon of liquid yogurt, like it's mostly water. So, you look around, zebras, horses. Horses have such incredible muscles. When you watch them run, the way the muscles ripple, it's just like it's really sexy. So where do they get all those muscles from? Out of grass. So the idea that we can't get enough protein eating plant-based whole foods is complete garbage, and it's advertising for the people who sell us something else. And it's not as healthy to do that. So anyway, I digress. So I like my tahini. What I do is I open up the jar. I pour off the tahini oil because it's an omega-6 oil, and omega-6 is not a big problem. I replace it with my oil, Udo's oil, which is a mixture of omega-3s and omega-6s, and it's more energetic. Like it increases fat burning. This is a fat that increases fat burning. And omega-3s are the single most widespread essential nutrient deficiency of our time. So I make sure I get those with omega-6s in the right balance, 3s and 6s, undamaged, organic. And I mix it up and I put in all my spices into that. And I gave you the list, but there's a few others that I use too. Cumin, and I put some green tea powder in it, and so that's a mix of protein, oil, and spices.
A paste you make, a sort of a paste.
I make it liquid enough so that I can drink it.
I see. So
and
you
then
drink it.
Yeah, and then I get cabbage, and I love broccoli and carrots and sweet potatoes, or not, yams actually, and what else? Celery I got in there, and tomatoes, and apples, oranges, grapefruit, bananas. That's the fruit side, and I just eat those. And when I eat the vegetables, I literally eat the vegetable and then take a swig of this tahini with good oil and spices in it. Mm-hmm. And I'm 77. I have no inflammation anywhere. I have no aches and pains except when I bang into something, which I still do. I still haven't learned to walk. And so I have no aches and pains. I have lots of energy. And so that's what I do. And then I watch the news. I like watching the news because it's interesting to look at all the crazy things that people do. Of course, on the news, you only get the crazy stuff. They never tell you how much love mothers have for their children and how they dress.
You're watching U.S. news, I think.
Yeah, I am, but Canadian news is about the same, only more toned down.
Right?
Yeah. But because I do my practice before I get up. I forgot to tell you. So before I get out of bed, I actually do a practice of checking in and deliberately being present in all of my being. And I joke with people sometimes. I say, when I wake up, I like to check in to see if I'm still there, because if I'm not there anymore, there's no point in getting out of bed. But that's a joke. It's just like, but to me, to start the day in a place of contentment and peace and feeling fulfilled and feeling loved, because life loves my body unconditionally.
And do you bring gratitude practice into that?
I don't, because all of the practices that we're told to do, they're always mental. And what I'm trying to do is walk out of the mind and go into the energy. And in the energy, it feels so good that gratitude is normal.
It's just part of it. It's baked in.
Right, but it's baked in, exactly. And I may not say, wow, I'm so grateful, but I'm walking around smiling.
Yes.
And just feeling awesome, right? So if I don't need a mental formula, I prefer not to use a mental formula.
That's very interesting.
Because sometimes when you use a mental formula, the words distract you from dropping a little deeper into the direct experience of it. So that's, but am I grateful? Yeah, you look around. I mean, honestly, there isn't anything you can look at around you and not be grateful for it. Like my lights. Somebody came up with lights that I can use to light this place up when I do my video things, right? Or in the evening so I can read. I have a little trampoline. Somebody made that. I can bounce around on the trampoline, get a little exercise.
That's fun. I have one as well.
I have a mattress that improves circulation. That is, I have a television set that I can find out what Trump is doing today, because just about everything these days is about Trump or Corona, right? So I can do that. And somebody made the glass in my window, and somebody made the wood that frames this place I live in, and then I go outside and I'm looking out the door, the grass is growing, the cherries are just beginning to flower, and you look at the air, something made air for me to breathe, and something made makes the grass grow. And something
you're talking about awe, that you're living in a sense of awe.
Yeah, fundamentally, because if you actually pay attention, it's like, oh my God, how did all this happen? And who's behind it? And what's behind it? And how do I get to be so lucky to be able to enjoy both outside and inside everything? And then I read. I do quite a bit of reading. I love science. I'm not so big on novels because I have a pretty fertile imagination, so I can make stuff up. So I'd rather read about how the world works, and I find it absolutely fascinating. I'm reading about there's a book called the Fourth Phase of Water. Water is usually solid, liquid, or gas, but there is a phase of water that is gel-like and charged, and absolutely essential for life to be able to occupy a human body. So I've been reading about that. It's really, really novel stuff. We didn't read it, didn't learn it in university. And I'm reading a book about one is called The Rainbow and the Worm, which is about quantum biology, which is like energy biology. You know, when I studied biology, it means study of life. But we never studied life in biology. We studied form and we studied function. I always thought I would have a glass full, like a glass jar, half full of life, and that was liquid and shining. That's what I thought I would get by studying biology. But we never studied life. In fact, we study everything but life in biology, in the study of life. In psychology, we don't study the soul. We study the mind. You know, in medicine, we don't study health, we study disease. So if you want to live in truth, you may actually have to do some original research on your own, to pay attention, to get out of the box, to not just to question what you're told. Because a lot of what we are told is not working that well.
Let's take a minute to thank our sponsor, Copper Compression, for supporting the Zestful Aging podcast. Copper Compression was in the news recently when they donated their entire stock of 18,000 masks to New York and New Jersey hospitals. Thank you so much for that. We're happy to work with a brand that has its values in the right place. Copper Compression offers a full range of copper-infused wellness products like braces, gloves, and sleeves that provide targeted relief and the support you need through your active recovery. They have the highest copper content on the market, guaranteed. Copper-infused fabric is really an amazing material. It has antimicrobial and anti-odor properties, and it helps increase blood flow. This unique combination of compression and copper gives you the strength to heal. Many of you know that I'm an avid tennis player, and over the years I've had to deal with the pain of plantar fasciitis. And for those of you who haven't experienced it, it literally feels like walking on little nails. It is very painful, but their plantar fasciitis foot supports have really helped me. They're also offering a generous 30% off on your first order just for Zestful Aging listeners. So go to coppercompression.com/Zestful Aging, or you can just use the promo code Zestful Aging at checkout for your discount. Again, a big thanks to Copper Compression for their support.
Right? That is for sure. Now, speaking of that, that's a lovely segue, because we're told a lot of different things about fats. And depending on, you know, what the diet of the week is or the fashion is, you should only eat bacon and butter, or you should avoid fat like it's the devil. And you have a lot to say about fats and a lot of science. And I think, people really want to hear that, because we're so confused. And I am someone, as you know, who's a psychotherapist who has some kind of hold or grasp on basic nutrition, and I'm confused. So I'm sure the people who are not even in this field at all do not know what to do with themselves with fat.
Right.
Please
we start.
Help us understand.
Okay. So the book is called "Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill." Because when I started studying fats, the reason why they were so complicated is because the bad and the good were all mixed up, and people just got confused. It's like, it's good, no, it's bad. It's bad, no, it's good. So I said, okay, if you understand that there are two opposite stories on fat, some of them kill you, some of them heal you. If you understand that as a foundation, then it's just a matter of figuring out which ones are the good ones and bringing them in, which ones are the bad ones, and making sure you don't bring them in.
Even if they're advertised like, this is 100% vegetable oil, and it makes it sound like it's the best thing ever.
I would say advertising is a form of lying that is legal. They call it, sometimes the legal term for it is called huffing and puffing. This is actually true. Huffing and puffing. So you cannot be held criminally responsible or legally responsible for huffing and puffing in the hope for sales.
I see.
So you have to take all of that with a grain of salt. But if you look in nature, there is fat in everything. Around every cell, in every apple you eat, in every orange you eat, in your broccoli that you like or don't like, in your seeds and nuts, there are fats in all of those foods. Every whole food. Yeah, every whole food has fat in it. So they're part of nature, and so are you. If you eat in line with nature, you will be eating fats. If you go on a fat-free diet, it will kill you if you stay on it long enough. If you go on a low-fat diet, you will get dry skin, and then you get low energy levels, and then slowly you start falling apart. I used to tell people that, how many of you have dry skin? This is a International Vegetarian Society, a talk, right? Said, how many of you are vegetarian? All the hands go up because they're all vegetarians, right? Mm-hmm. How many of you have dry skin? All the hands go up. And so I said to them, the mistake you're making on the low-fat diet is there are fats that you have to have. And if you don't get enough, the first thing that happens is your skin gets dry, because your skin gets them last and loses them first, because in the inside of your body, they have vital functions that you can't live without. So when your skin is dry, you need more of the right kind of fat. Mm-hmm. And they were all looking at me as, who the hell is this guy? Right? And so not all of them did it, but the ones who did, some of them got back to me and said, that was awesome, because when I started taking the oils that you recommend with omega-3 and 6 in them, my skin became nicer, my energy got better, my hair started to grow, I'm thinking clearer. And then if you want to go on and on with it, I have less inflammation, my mood is better, pregnancies become less eventful. So literally every part of the body improves when you go from a low-fat diet to a right-fat diet.
I love that. Right fat. Now talk a minute about coconut oil, which was supposed to save us.
Okay.
And so, I think people got really excited about it, and now maybe it's the next best thing. What's the story about?
No, coconut is the previous fad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so this is how it happened. Coconut is mostly saturated fat. The omega-3 and omega-6, which are the only two molecules from fats that are essential to your health, that your body can't make, that you have to bring in if you want to be healthy. Coconut contains almost none of those. But there was a guy who wrote a book about coconut who made every claim that can legitimately be made for omega-3s on the basis of existing research. He made every claim for coconut without any research behind it. How do I know? I read the book. I was shocked when I read it. And I went into Medline and looked up all of the claims he made. There was not evidence for a single claim he made. And now there's research coming out that coconut fat actually increases LDL cholesterol, which is the unfavorable cholesterol. And that's just begun because now coconuts become very popular. But here's what's really interesting. If you eat coconut oil, your cholesterol, your LDL will go up. If you eat the coconut, your LDL will not go up. So my answer is eat the damn coconut.
It's a whole food.
Eat the whole food. Eat the whole food. And they think it's the fiber in the coconut that prevents your cholesterol from going up.
Now, I'm going to ask you another hard question as somebody who loves to cook.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested and curious what you're going to say. Of course, many recipes, if you're a foodie and you want delicious food, starts with putting olive oil and garlic in a pan and heating it up.
Yeah.
right? To see, or whatever you're doing. And I'm thinking from what I know about your research and your book, that is not a helpful practice.
Yeah, if you love cooking with oil, you should cover your ears right now so you don't hear what I'm going to say.
Okay, good. Thank you for the warning.
Yeah, really. And you know what? Frying is the single stupidest thing we have done in food preparation in our 200,000 year history. And the reason why is that oils are our most sensitive nutrients. They're damaged by light, they're damaged by heat, and they're damaged by oxygen. And and they need the most care of any of our nutrients, and we give them the least care. When you throw an oil in the frying pan on a hot element on your stove, you are damaging the oil simultaneously by the destructive effect of light and oxygen and heat on the oil all at the same time. Now, those oils, except for extra virgin olive oil, which is made in a different way, but most of the oils we use have already been damaged before they went in the bottle, before they went in the shelf, before you bought them. Because they're treated with Drano, with window washing acid, then bleached, which makes them rancid, and then heated to frying temperature to clean up the stink. So those oils are already damaged, maybe up to 1%. And if you damage an oil 1%, it's usually between 0.5% and 1%. But if it's 1% damaged in a tablespoon, so that's not very much, in a tablespoon of that oil, there will be 60 quintillion damaged molecules. That's more than 1 million damaged molecules for every one of your body's 60 trillion cells.
And it's so you're hurting yourself. You're hurting.
And that's before you fry it. Now, when you take that oil and fry it, and you're taking 2 to 4 tablespoons a day, because that's normal intake, you know, the damage that you do to your body goes up. Every molecule that is damaged is no longer natural, and will find a place in your body where it interferes with what's supposed to be going on there for health in that place where it is.
So you're saying to us the standard process of cooking, American cooking at least, about this idea of, you start with the oil, you add some shallots, maybe some nice garlic, you heat it even before it gets to smoking point, which I know is not a good thing, and you put in your vegetable, whatever. You're saying that has got to be completely re-engineered.
Yeah, well, not re-engineered. You need to take out your frying pan, turn it upside down, hit yourself on the head with it really hard so it's associated with pain, and then throw it out because it will give you pain. The research is very clear. If you overheat carbohydrates, so we're talking grains, even granola, the so-called health food, right? Or you overheat oils, or you overheat proteins, like when you fry them, the outside is burnt, right?
Or grilling.
Yeah, any of it. Anything that overheats any of the food. Oil and protein and carbs increase your risk of cancer independent of each other when you overheat them. So cooking in water makes some sense because you're not burning the food unless you burn on the bottom of the pan. Mm-hmm. Eating raw is nature's mandate. Nature's mandate is fresh, whole, raw, organic. Mm-hmm. That's how every creature eats except us and the animals we feed. That's the standard for health because your genetic program, your whole entire system was made to function in line with nature and in nature because we're part of nature. And anything you do that gets you out of line will take away from your health. So the worst thing is frying. The second worst thing is white sugar. But frying is worse than sugar. And then you do that, when you fry foods, and by the way, this is not just American, this is like everywhere. In Asia, they love fried food. And the oil industry created that because they wanted to sell more oil, because we came out of a time when people cooked in water. And when I was a kid, we would throw the steak we cut it in cubes, throw it in the stew with the vegetables and the spices. That's how we ate our meat. It wasn't burnt, wasn't toxic, tasted great, right? But now everybody fries because the industry says, oh man, they're using water for cooking. Imagine how much oil we could sell if we could get them to use oil for cooking.
Oh my goodness.
And we used to call it frying. Now it's called cooking. Cooking used to mean cooked in water, and cooked in oil was called frying. Now these people don't say frying. Now they say cooking. So they've made it sound
everything.
Like it's like a good thing. It's not a good thing.
And this, I'm thinking about like when you order out Chinese, which I rarely do.
Yeah.
You're starting with the cheapest, junkiest soybean oil, which is already problematic.
Yeah.
And then you're frying it.
Yeah, and then they fry it over and over and over and over again, right? And especially if you're doing deep frying. And the only reason why that oil doesn't turn into charcoal in that process is because you keep taking damaged oil out on the vegetables that you're putting in there. So you're eating the poison. It's like, okay, who came up with that? Right?
And what is we talked about the diet fashion, the diet trends, smoothies. Talk to me about smoothies.
Yeah. Smoothies are good from the perspective of if you have no teeth and you can't chew your foods. No, it's true, right? I mean, once your teeth all fall out when you're like 80 or whatever, then you got to have something that chops up your food for you. But here's the thing. When you make smoothies, they shouldn't be smooth. They should be lumpies. Right? And the reason why is that if you chew food, you don't make it smoothie chewed. So you have lumps and you absorb some of the nutrients, and some of the nutrients you don't get, and your blood sugar doesn't go up because, it's not all being released fast. If you make smoothies,
that makes sense.
It's too finely divided.
Yes.
And you can raise your blood sugar with it, depending, of course, in what you put in it. So the smoothies should be lumpies, and then it would work better.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I did the smoothie thing because I was trying to be a healthy woman. I got the super fancy blender and I was getting terrible stomach aches.
Oh yeah.
And my doctor said, you're not supposed to be drinking, a 16-ounce glass of 45 vegetables at the same time.
In 4 seconds while you race out to do some stupid thing you shouldn't be doing in the first place. Yeah. Right? But here's the thing. If you do smoothie, it would work if you did a mouthful of smoothie and then swished it around in your mouth, because that's actually, chewed the smoothie.
Yes.
Because you want to ensalivate it, because that starts the digestive process and tells your body what's coming down the pike.
And you have teeth for a reason.
Yeah, teeth and saliva. For a reason, right? So if you took it one mouthful at a time and chewed it and ate it gradually over the course of maybe your 16 ounces over the course of 2 hours, then it would be better.
I see.
Then, and of course, part of the reason why we don't do that is because we're all in a hurry. We think we have all these other more important things to do than eating. And so we just wolf it down, and then flip the container out, right? And then race off and do something.
What are you familiar? I'm sure you are, because you're the world's expert in this. But one of the things that I've learned lately that I thought was so fascinating is how we approach our meal emotionally really has an impact on how we digest. And that if we're in a stressed out state, our metabolism really can't do what it's meant to do. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, when you're stressed out, you're not supposed to be eating, you're supposed to be running. Right? Because stress is about survival. And stress it triggers your fight and flight response. So then you're in sympathetic nervous system, then you're in action. And in order to get the blood to your muscles and all the places that need that need blood so you can escape, digestion gets turned off because you don't want to spend your energy on digestion when you're fleeing for your life.
That's right.
So the idea of being stressed and then eating is it'll be hard on your digestive system. You're supposed to eat before you sleep or after you sleep. You're supposed to eat when you're not under stress, when your life is not under threat. Now, part of our problem is that we live in self-manufactured stress. Either by the media it's manufactured, or by the government it's manufactured, or we manufacture it in our own heads by our fears of what if, anxiety, what if. You know, it's crazy. I'm sitting in my living room and I could adrenalize myself by just thinking, what if there was a meteor that was coming out of outer space 60 quintillion miles away, and it's barreling at 18,000 miles an hour, and it's going to come and it's going to hit me on the head and it's going to kill me. Right? That's like just a total fantasy.
You said you had a good imagination.
I know. So I can make up stuff like this, right?
I see.
Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why human beings, because we're all pretty good at fantasizing and
sure, especially now.
And what do we call it? Catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is one of the reasons why human beings need to take time to sit still, get out of their head, get into their heart, get into their body, and feel the fulfillment of being just present without thoughts. Right? That's why that's important for us. Because, and what if is every anxiety has a what if in front of it. I used to be afraid of flying. First I was flying okay, and then I became afraid of flying. Why did I become afraid of flying? Well, somebody dumped me. That's what the start of it was. Somebody dumped me. And then it was like, and I paid attention to it. And sometimes I cried on the plane because I was so afraid. And it was all based on, what if we crash? You know, and I could have said, with a little more discipline, I could have said, what if we land safely? Because the chances of landing safely is like thousands of times higher than that we're going to crash. And somebody said to me, well, flying is safer than being in a car. And I said to them, well, it doesn't feel like that to me. But the truth is, if you look at the math, flying is safer than driving.
That's right.
But because I was fantasizing, what if, I was literally doing that to myself. Or when I started doing public speaking, I was very shy as a kid. I could sit in a chair in an empty room, imagine myself in front of an audience. There was nobody there except me in the chair. And I could completely adrenalize by just saying, what if they criticize me? What if somebody knows something I don't know? What if somebody challenges me and I don't have an answer? I could literally adrenalize myself.
Get yourself going, yeah.
And my professor said, the reason why you get adrenalized is because you're thinking about yourself. If you were thinking about serving other people in the best way you can, you would not be adrenalized. So then I sat in the chair and I'd go back and forth between what if and adrenalize myself. And then change my thought to, I'm here to explain to you how oils work so that you can use the information to improve your own health. And you know what? The moment I said that, my nervousness was completely gone.
It's so
And it was literally, I went back and forth, sitting in the same chair, in the same empty room, and doing the one and then doing the other just to test what my professor said was true, my psych prof. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And now I get up on stage. I'm not confused. I don't care. I'm not worried about whether they're gonna criticize me or not. I've always been pretty good at answering criticism anyway. And basically I'm just going in there. Why am I going there? I want to help people improve the quality of their lives in any way I can, because I feel taken care of. There's nothing else to do other than to help people. And I'm not nervous at all. I don't get butterflies before I get up on stage. People say, oh, you need that, otherwise you won't be a good speaker. No, I'm a really good speaker, and I don't get butterflies. But I'm present. I get really present before I go on stage.
Present, and you also have a great sense of humor, so that helps people.
Yeah, well, if you're present and you love your life, sense of humor comes with it. You don't have to.
Yeah, I wanna ask you about where people can find out more about you, your books, your work. So give me some ideas about that, please.
Okay, I have two websites. One is called Udo's Choice, UDOS Choice, udoschoice.com.
Okay.
And that's about the oil blend that I work with and digestive enzymes, probiotics, and a few other things that are very central to health. I have another website that is theudo.com, THE, Udo, theudo.com. And on that, there is quite a few, we've got some courses. We're just building that. We just started a year ago to put that together. So we have some courses on that and some of my, lots of videos and just different topics, all kinds of different topics. Leadership leadership
and a whole it sounds like the general ideas that it's always holistic.
Always based on nature and human nature. And so that nature and human nature, if you're fully present in your own nature and your surroundings, that will affect what kind of leadership you do. That'll affect how you do business. That'll affect how your relationships go. That'll affect how everything works, because everything you do is an expression of your state of being. So you want to work on the state of being, because when you work on the state of being, you're actually improving everything that you do all at the same time.
That's right.
Because you're the author of all of everything that you do. So the more present you are and the more deeply present you are, the more you have to give into every situation too. The more you can help people. That's the focus. But I talk about oils, and we're working on a digestion course and all kinds of stuff. And then sometimes we talk about, I did some videos on viruses because of Corona and some of the things that I do. And so there's a lot of stuff on it, but it's a work in progress.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And that will be in the show notes for people, udoschoice.com and theudo.com, and they'll be able to find that.
And let me just finish something I started saying about oils. The way to use oils, since we're not supposed to fry them, is if you cook in water, and once the food comes off the heat, you add oil afterwards. You can put it in hot food, in hot soup, on steamed vegetables, but you want to do it after. You do not want to put oils in a frying pan if health is what your goal is.
That's really helpful, and I think something that we can all work towards, and it will, I think, change a lot of our it is so interesting because I was on some kind of online cooking thing, and they said, heat your oil until it just starts to smoke. And I thought,
I don't think that's right.
No, because you know when you turn oil into smoke, you've changed the chemistry.
Yes.
And smoke is carcinogenic. In fact, there's research that shows that cooks who spend 8 hours in front of a frying pan in a restaurant have 4 times the lung cancer of normal people who only spend maybe a couple hours in front of the frying pan.
That's fascinating.
4 times.
Fascinating. Because
they're breathing in this smoke, these fumes.
Yes.
And the oil is being damaged long before it starts to smoke. So the idea that the smoke point, it's complete BS.
Yeah, no, I think that this will be really helpful for our audience, and they'll really appreciate this.
Cool.
Thank you so much for taking time. I know you've got a lot of things going on, and I so appreciate your down-to-earth way of talking about it when I know that there's a lot of complexity, but I love the way you just sort of kind of simplify it for us, and so we can take it into our daily habits and start thinking about this more I think, critically what we're being sold and what we're being taught.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being an amplifier for a useful message.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends. I love to hear from my listeners. Send me an email at NicoleChristina.com. Hello, Zesties. I want to tell you about one of my all-time favorite exercise and stress reduction tools, which I am really relying on during this quarantine. But I've sung its praises for years. The benefits are seemingly endless. It's great for toning and strengthening muscles. It improves your lymph system, your metabolism. It helps with joint pain and balance. And it's even used by NASA astronauts because it's such an efficient way to exercise. And if you're older or you're worried about your balance, you can order a stabilizer bar to hang on to. I'm talking about my Needak Rebounder mini trampoline. I put on my music and I have my own dance party. Because for me, exercise needs to be fun and invigorating. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. Now is not the time for the philosophy of no pain, no gain, because we're in enough pain. This is a way to feel good and energized and have fun. It really does help mood as well. And I like that Needak is made in the USA and it is really solid. I've had mine for 15 years and it's still in great shape. The Needak Rebounder will help us get through this quarantine in better shape mentally and physically. And there's also a model that folds up if space is an issue. One of my clients puts it on her driveway and uses it while she's watching her kids during the quarantine. Anyway, I can't recommend Needak Rebounders enough. They are a worthwhile investment in your health and overall well-being, especially now. If you are interested in a mini trampoline, please don't buy a cheap one. Those can be actually dangerous, and it is really worth investing in a good quality one. And right now, if you use the coupon code just for Zestful Aging listeners, the code is Zestful. They are going to include a free cover for you. So go to Needak.com. It's NEEDAK.com. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at zestfulaging.com. I really am their biggest fan. In this phase of our lives, we're more aware that our time is precious, and we certainly don't want to waste it taking care of stuff that we no longer need, left over from a life that we are no longer living. We know we would feel better with less clutter and more open space, but we don't know how to get there. If this sounds familiar, I'd love you to check out the online course I've developed with professional organizer and designer Carrie Luderin. This course is different than others you may have tried because we give you clear steps to deal with the clutter and tools to help you face the overwhelm and feelings that come up when you're going through your clutter. It's practical and realistic, and the lessons are short and punchy and very manageable, but it has the power to change your life. We all deserve to live in a peaceful home without the chaos of too much stuff. Find out more at NicoleChristina.com. And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest.